Good morning, everyone. So, last session we learned about in React data binding. So, we discussed about the concept of data binding in React. So, yesterday we learned, till now we discussed about creating a React app with the Webpack bundle, and we discussed about components in React 18. We created a React 18 app, and we discussed about data binding. We are learning about data binding, how we can handle this. So, what is the concept of data binding? Accessing data from source and binding to the UI. How JavaScript jQuery does by using lot of DOM methods. So, React does in a simple way. Yesterday we saw how we can bind various types of data. So we discussed about primitive data types, how number is presented, how string is handled, and how boolean is managed. So how they behave in React and what we use to present. So for that I showed you a simple examples here. Temporarily what we are doing, we are creating a simple variable. In that we are storing the data and we are presenting. But in real React components, data is managed in a different way. So in the next concept we will see that. But for practicing data binding initially, we are using this method. We are creating a variable, storing some data, and we are presenting. So we saw how to use the number, the string, and boolean. Now next, important in primitive types, you know, you have a undefined type. So undefined and null types. What is undefined? So in JavaScript, you configured a variable and not initialized any value or assigned any value, then but it is considered as what? Undefined. Undefined. So if value is undefined, how you present, how you bind, how you configure that. So let's see. We will start this project. So we created a component called data binding, and in that we are trying this concept. So we kept this data binding component in the startup through index, and it will run. Let's create a simple data here. So it is running. Let's see. I will remove this talk, and I created so var and a variable called name. In this, I stored some string type. Now we have another variable. We have price, and the price is not configured. So price is not initialized, not assigned. Later it may be assigned. We will pass price later, but initially it is not there. So when you try to print the data inside this, so I am creating a simple data list. In that term, here we want name, data definition, and here we use a binding expression. That is the React binding expression. Yesterday I showed you. So this name we are accessing variable. So it is going to get that and display. Now how about price? So we are adding another price term and we want to present price. How we present price? So same, the price variable, but price is not defined. It is not having a value. Now if price is not defined, then how we can manage? So if any data is not defined, then JavaScript will return undefined. If it is undefined, then don't print. If it is defined, then print. In JavaScript, tell me how you verify whether a value defined or not. In JavaScript, how you verify whether a value defined or not. Usually we write a condition. In the condition, we simply write price. This indicates it is defined. Am I right? That means you can simply write this. There is another approach. So what you do, if price, so price is equal to what it is, undefined. But that's not a great coding. Why? Because we don't verify any negative approach. We will not verify not defined, we will verify defined. And defined is usually done by using this method. Now, what is specialty about React is it supports conditional rendering. Conditional rendering means it can present a block or change the block in the UI according to the situation. That means I don't want to present this entire block if price is not defined. So then how you manage that? How you handle that? So I will put here a binding expression. In the binding expression, we will write, already yesterday we learned in JSX you cannot write statements. If, for, while, do while, for each, switch, all these are not allowed. You have to manage everything using operators and methods. So here how you define? So here we will write if price. What does this means if it is defined? If it is defined and question mark, that's a ternary operator. If it is defined, so what we will do is here we are going to print that. So we want to print this one. That means this is printed. This is printed. I'm just writing like this. Otherwise, that means colon. It should not print the data. That means we will keep an empty block here. So that is the expression we need to manage. I just separated it usually. So if price is there, if price is defined, then we have to print the term. We need to print the term. And actually, this is usually a set of markup. No? That means we are having two. So I will just mark this as string. Otherwise, what we have to do, we will put here an empty string. That is the condition we are defining. So if price is there, it is not printing that. If price is defined, that means you are assigning or initializing some value into the price. Then it is defined, then it should print that. And you can see it is printing like this because you managed it as a string. So how do we present this? We present in a div. So this is one container. So because already we know the basic rules, what are the basic rules here is we cannot present. So we cannot present using multiple fragments. Presentation can be only one fragment in JSX. That means it is going to present it. So if price is not defined, you are not configuring price, then it will not print that area. If price is defined with some value, then it is going to print that block. This is undefined. Later you will face this regularly. Some variable is defined, some reference is there, but value is still not there because value will be passed later dynamically into it. Then up to that moment, it should not display. It should display only when there is some value defined. So how you do this in general JavaScript by using whether it is defined or not a condition. So here we do that by using a simple ternary operation. So what we are doing here, we are writing a ternary operator. We are verifying is price defined. This indicates it is defined. There is another method you can check like is equal to what? Undefined. Is equal to undefined. If it is undefined, print empty. If it is defined, then print the div, the data definition and all. So we are, but this is not good code. Good coding. The good coding is how you configure with defined, right? So how undefined is verified? What is undefined? It is a type configured for variable when value is not initialized or assigned. So you can check by using undefined keyword. By using undefined keyword. So that is undefined. So simple syntax here. So where some price and we write a condition. So price, this indicates defined and not defined. Just syntax I am giving. Or there is another approach to verify. So we write price is equal to undefined. That means it is not defined. Otherwise it is defined. That is the approach. How you configure the defined and undefined, the keywords here. So when it is undefined, then you can print. So any empty, when it is not defined, print any empty container. If it is defined, you can print it. This is generally people call this as conditional render. That means we have two blocks to present. Which block we decide according to the condition, right? So that means a complete block can be presented or hidden by using this approach. I will copy this example for you. So this is data binding.jsx. Already you have all the classroom code, no? If anyone is not having classroom code, I will share at the end of the session. And if you missed the previous, so those videos are uploaded into those classroom codes. You can check them. Okay. So at the end of session, I will share the classroom code. Everyone have that, right? Yeah. So until yesterday, the videos are uploaded there. If you missed them, you can check. Okay. Okay. Now this is undefined. Next important, what you will face is you will face another null. In JavaScript, when you are dealing with data, you will face null. What is null? Undefined is also value is not there. Null, what you learn difference between null and undefined. Undefined value is not there. Null value is not there. So undefined is compile time and null is runtime. If a value is expected into a reference at runtime, then the compiler will set it to null. And you haven't passed the value, then it will put it to null, right? So what is the null type? How you define the null types? Usually, currently we can't try that, just overview I will tell, because for that we need page loading functions and all we have to write. Example, now the price is expected from a prompt. So we say enter price. Price is expected from a prompt. Now compiler will not set as undefined. Why it will not set as undefined? Because you are using some method which supplies value at the runtime. And at runtime, if value is not supplied, then compiler will set it to null, not undefined. Undefined is the type which is configured for the variable when value is not defined during compile time. This is at runtime. Prompt is expected with runtime. Then, so we are expecting when null will come. You know when null will here. Suppose you are using. Let's go into the console. We are using a prompt here and say enter price and hit enter. It is asking for price. So we are not entering the price. We are just clicking on cancel. When you click on cancel, then what will happen? It will return null. So prompt is going to return null. So if you are, it is not going to return undefined. So it is going to return null. Dynamically, if value is not supplied, it will return null. Then how you verify that value is not supplied at runtime? So what you do, have to just use here if is equal to null. If it is equal to null, then what you have to do? If it is equal to null, then just print empty. Otherwise, you print this container. That's how we need to define. That means if price is null, means they haven't supplied price dynamically. If supply, it is not supplied dynamically, then it will be empty. If it is supplied, then it will print it. That is verified here. But you see now price, I'm clicking on cancel, so it is not there. You refresh, you entered some data into this, so then it is going to present that price. Some data into this, it is going to present it. If it is not, then it will return null. This time it is not undefined because you are expecting value dynamically. In JavaScript, you know the difference between undefined and null, when to handle them. So a value is expected at compile time and not supplied, then it will be fine. So value is expected at runtime and not defined, then it is called as null. So you can verify that. So what is null? So it refers to the value, it refers to the value from any method, value from any method into a reference variable, into a reference variable dynamically. If value is not provided dynamically, then it returns, null. So null is the keyword. By using null, it returns. So null is the type that you will expect from various JavaScript functions dynamically. So if we declare price and we are expecting some from prompt, then enter price, and if it is not supplied, then price is equal to null. Then what does it means? Not defined. If it is not null, then it is defined. So that is another example here. So data binding .jsx, I will copy this one. Same, but this time we are using null. That is the reference we are using. So the primitive types in JavaScript, the same in React. So when you are dealing with any data in React, so usually you expect a number or a string or a boolean or a null or undefined. Then how do you present? How to handle them? This is the basic thing. We have some more types in JavaScript primitive types. You have a symbol and you have a big int. It comes under number types. Symbol you will learn in object. While dealing with object, we will see symbol. So the basic primitive types, these are all the primitive data types. So what you saw is how to present number, how to present a string, how to present boolean, how to present undefined, and how to present null. How you bind these, what situations will come for them, right? Next, the major is about the non-primitive types. So we have non-primitive types. And what are the differences between primitive and non-primitive already you learned in JavaScript. What is difference? Primitive types are immutable, and non-primitive are mutable. So we have a fixed structure for the primitive, but here the structure can change dynamically non-primitive. And what are the non-primitive types you learned in JavaScript? Array, object, map, set, all these comes under non-primitive. This is the major concept because whenever you work with real-time data, so you know JavaScript based technologies, data will be in two formats. What are those? XML and JSON. Data will be either in XML form or in JSON. So you must able to handle them. Let's see first. So how we can manage arrays? Array. So I am not discussing about what is an array here because already you know that in JavaScript. Here we are going to learn how to present an array. You know the basic rules of array in JavaScript. What are the basic rules? I will just give a simple overview. Arrays are used to reduce overhead and complexity. Arrays are used to reduce overhead and complexity. You know how arrays behave in JavaScript. They are unlike other technologies. Other technologies, what definition they give about array? Array is similar type of values, but you know in JavaScript they are not. So JavaScript array can handle various types of data. It can handle various types of data. And you know, so JavaScript array size can change dynamically. These are not possible in other technologies. If you are using array in C, C++, Java, .NET, there what definition they say about array? Similar type of data. But in JavaScript, it is not. In JavaScript, array can handle different types. So in JavaScript, array size can change dynamically, which is not possible in general other technologies. So how to configure array? So you know already configuring array we can do in two ways. In JavaScript you learned with the new array constructor, and you have another one, array meta character. So you know the both methods of configuring array in JavaScript. What is difference? So the first one is allocating dynamic memory, second one is static. What is dynamic memory? It is reallocating every time. Whenever you request, the memory is newly allocated. Static, the memory allocated for the first request will continue for next. So if you want a static collection of data, then you use meta character. You want a dynamic collection of data, then you use constructors, right? So these are all basic things you will learn in JavaScript. But what is the issue you faced in JavaScript is presenting them is a challenging one in JavaScript. Presenting data from an array is one of the major challenge that you face. Lot of DOM methods are required. I will show you how you do in JavaScript and how it works in here. I will take a HTML page for you to show you in JavaScript. Suppose, so we have an ordered list. Now we will have a event on load, that is body load. So we will write a script and we have a function body load. On body load, we will have an array called categories. We have all, it's an array we have electronics, we have footwear, so we have fashion. Now in JavaScript, we want to access all these elements from array, and we want to add as list item in ordered list. That means in that ordered list, we need to add as list items. Then how you do in JavaScript? It's a lengthy process, right? So how you read data from array? There are various array methods. So we generally how we do that. So how to read data from array? There are so many methods, like we have a for each, we have map, so we have slice, we have find, filter. These all will read data. They have different situations. So you can use for in, you can use for off, you can use just a for loop for reading data from array. So while, do while, so many are there. So you see now generally what is the pain in JavaScript and how it is a simple one in here React. Let's see. Generally in JavaScript, what we are doing, we are reading categories using a map. You know, in JavaScript, map is the fastest way of reading data from a collection. It is an iterator. And this map uses a callback function. It will read every category. And if for every category, we need to create a list item because we want to add into ordered list. Then how you do in JavaScript, you have to create a list item, document dot create element, you create a list item, and li dot what, inner HTML, that is the category, and add this into ordered list, document dot query selector OL, ordered list have an append child, which one, list item. This is how you do in JavaScript. Reading data from an array, presenting in the UI. This is the lengthy approach you need to do. That means I run this, that is going to present all the data in an ordered list. So it is going to present in an ordered list. That is how generally JavaScript shows you, means you learned in JavaScript. Presenting a table, presenting a complex UI through this approach is very risky. Suppose you have complex data and you want to design a tabular form and create it dynamically through JavaScript. It's a lengthy approach. This is the only way you have in JavaScript. Is there any another way? No. This is the only way how you have in JavaScript. Suppose I want to add this into a drop down. If I want to add in a drop down in the map, again what you have to do, we have to create an option, document dot create element, which one, option, option have text, text is category, option have value, value also category, and add this into drop down query selector, which one, select, into that append child, which one, option. Now it will add this into a drop down, this is lengthy approach and there is no other way. In JavaScript, this is the only way how you have to present. But now in React, this is better. It is simplified. So let's see how React presents. Let's see that. This is general JavaScript way how you have to do. Let's go to React now. Here, I'm creating an ordered list. Okay. Now I am creating an array. So where categories is an array. All, so electronics, so footwear like this, fashion, all this is the data. Now how you read and use that here? Generally in JavaScript, we have different ways. We can use for in. For in will read all keys. for off, it will read all values. You can use just for loop. So, or you have so many methods. You know that in React we cannot use them. That means generally in JavaScript, what you do in JavaScript, instead of this, what you can do is you can write for var item of what is the collection categories. You can do this, or you can use a for. So var I is 0, I less than categories dot length, I plus plus. You can do this, but these are not allowed in React. In JSX, you cannot write these statements. Then how you will read? That means what are the various ways of reading data from array? So for React, actually we have to use methods. Then what are the methods you have in JavaScript for reading data? So what are the methods you are having in JavaScript for reading data? You have map. So what map will do? It reads all elements from array. So we have for each. So it reads all elements with index. It reads all elements with index. For each can return the index number also. You know that. You have filter. So it reads and returns all elements that match given condition. That means you can apply some filter. You know filter method in JavaScript array. You have find. Find. It reads and returns only first element that match the condition. You learned all this. So in general array concept, you learned all this. Now you also have slice. What it is doing, it reads elements between specified index. It reads and returns the elements between specified index. So these are all the different array methods we have. So by using those array methods, you can manage. So React have to use these methods. And what is the best? Because others based on a condition. What is the best? Best one is we have a map. Map is the fastest way of reading. Everywhere you will see people using a lot of map. So, and here is again the functions are statements, functions are not directly allowed. So when you are using map for each and filter like options in JSX, you have to use through arrow technique. You have to use through arrow technique. By using an arrow technique, you need to present. That means you cannot use, because what is the basic syntax? So this is basic syntax. So for collection dot what map, map uses a function. This function will read every item, and for every item we need to create some presentation. But this is not good for React. That is not good for React. Then how React can handle collection, have a map, and you use an item and return that. That means you have to return the markup. So that means you have to just return the markup. That means now what happens? It will read every item, and for every item it will return a div. it will return a div. That's the basic thing you have to use. This is the callback technique through arrow method. So this is good for React. So you cannot write a function in JSX. In JSX, you have to just use the shortcut. Another important rule is there here is, now tell me what is happening in this. It is going to create how many divs? Depends on how many items are in collection. That means what map is doing, it is repeating. Na? Map is a iterator. So you already know map uses a function generator. In JavaScript, we have function generators. It uses a function generator. By using that, it will iterate. And what map will do, it will read first item and it will create a div. It will read second item and create a div. Until items end, it will create these divs repeatedly. So how many divs will be created? Depending on how many elements are there in the collection. So here one problem is that, what is problem is, in the UI you will see fine, but so React requires a unique key for every repeating element. React requires a unique key for every repeating element. It requires a unique key for every repeating element. If any element is repeating dynamically, that means 10 times you are repeating, then React needs a unique reference. Because if 10 divs are created, how to access fifth one? That means it needs a reference key. It needs a reference key. React will not use IDs, classes for reference. React will not use any of the DOM methods for reference. So it uses a unique key. So that means what is the point here is, you have a collection and we have map. We are reading every item. For every item, we are creating a div. This div needs a key. This div needs a key. That key can be anything. If that item is having ID, name, anything, you can define that. As of now, it is just item. Like this, we have to do. That means for in the collection, if you are having 10 items, 10 times div is created. Then for every div, it needs a unique reference. Generally, we can use their index numbers as references, or we can use their values itself as references. So, but this reference key is compulsory for repeating items. If any item is repeating, a reference key is compulsory that you have to handle in React. Let's see now. So let's see the techniques here. This is your JavaScript. Now let's see how React can manage. It's very simple. I want all these as list items. So where in ordered list? Here we write a binding expression. In ordered list, we have to read every element from collection. What is the collection name? Categories. How to read? Map. So read every category. And for every category, create a li. For every category, create a li. And this li should display here the category name, that category. That means the first item will come here, all, and it will display here. And map is going to repeat. It is going to go to the next element, it will present it. It will go to the next element and it will present it. This list item is going to repeat, means it is going to duplicate. If React is going to duplicate any element, then it needs a unique key for it. Otherwise, it will show error. So let's check this now. Output, you will see here it is working fine. The data is good. there is no problem, but there is a problem. Let's go to the console, inspect. In the inspect, let's go to the console. In the console, there is an issue, and the issue is, it is saying each child in a list should have a unique key. It is mandate. In React, it is mandate. So now what we do is, for every list item, we will put a key. What is the key? Key is, as of now, just the value we will use as key. Later, if you have some products, employees, students data, they have a unique, like employee ID, product ID, like student ID. Unique field we will use as key. Here it is just plain data. So we will use the category itself as key. That means all electronics, footwear, these are keys. And now that looks fine. Now there is no issue. Otherwise you will have. Now how to create a drop down? It's very simple. Let's put a drop down. Now what we have to do? We have to use a dynamic expression. What is it? Categories dot map. You read every category, and for every category you have to create an option, and this option will have a key, that is category, and option will have some text here, that is category, that is category, and that category is a string. You see, now all the categories will come here, but I want all these in uppercase letters. Of course, you learned yesterday string manipulation. That means this we can convert into two uppercase. That means it is going to present the string in uppercase letters. That's how it is going to manage. So it depends on completely your skills of HTML. Suppose if anybody asks, I want a list of checkboxes for these categories. You have to use your HTML skills, presentation skills, how you create a checkbox list. Is there an element in HTML for checkbox list? No. Then how do you create a checkbox list? So that is where your HTML, CSS skills will come. That means, see how we do. I will create a ordered list, unordered list I am giving. In this unordered list, again, same approach. What it is? Categories dot map. You read every category, and for every category you create a list item. This list item will have a key. Key is category. Inside list item you need a input. You need self-ending. Input type is what? Checkbox. And it needs a label, and the label will be the category name. Am I right? Category name. So that means it is going to add a checkbox list. Now I want a scrollable checkbox list. You want a scrollable checkbox list, then you apply some styles. Is there any such thing in HTML? No. Then you know what you do. So this is data binding. So here we will add a CSS file, data binding dot CSS. In this we will create a scrollable class. This scrollable class will have width as some 200, 150 pixels. It will have height as 60 pixels. It will have border as 1 pixel solid gray, and it will have padding is 5 pixel, and it will have overflow is auto, because we are going to apply this for unordered list. We will use list style as what? None. So now we will apply this. To apply this, we need to import this CSS in our component. So at the top, we have to import dot slash what it is, data binding dot CSS. Then in that there is a class called scrollable. That class we will apply here. So the class name is what? Scrollable. That is the class we are applying. Then it is going to apply a scrollable list here. That is all your HTML CSS skills. So this is where people face problems in their interview practical presentations. So when they go to interviews, every interview of React, whether it is fresher or experienced, they will give you some screens and they will give you some API links. They will say that in this API we have data, and using the data you create these screens and send us. That is the only task given for every React developer. And those screens are so complex that it takes a lot of time to design. They ask you a grid with filters, sorting, searching, editing, updating, deleting. They will ask you to create a dashboard. They will ask you to create an analytic reporting, so graphs and charts interface. In every React interview, that is what they ask, even for experienced people. So the presentation skills are not learned in React, right? They are all with your HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, other knowledge. Here, React simplifies them. That means what I showed in CSS is not React. What I showed in React is just making this iteration simplified. I'm using map here. We are using map. By using map, we are handling this. Okay, let's see another point here. Suppose I will copy this. That means you can present anyway. So we will say data binding dot .jsx. I will copy this example. And actually we used a CSS file also. What is the file? Data binding dot .css. I kept this CSS code there. I kept this code here. And of course we are using Bootstrap internally. If you are using Bootstrap internally, you know more presentation skills. You have margin top 4. That means it is going to present like this. And you see, I will use this list item. This list item have a class name as form switch. Am I right? And for this, we will use a class name called form check input. This is how they can present a checkbox. And you see now these are the checkboxes. Right? These are the checkboxes in a switch style. You know that this switch style is defined to elements like checkboxes through Bootstrap. Right? This is what generally we expect. That means they give a list of options and they want a presentation like this. Then you should know that these are also checkboxes, but applied through Bootstrap. Right? So, and how to enable Bootstrap yesterday we saw. Enabling and using Bootstrap. Okay, let's try other methods here now. Suppose other methods means, suppose we are having here, currently I'm not using more complex data, just I'm using simple. This is values, these are just numeric. Now I want to print all values which are above 40,000. Above 40,000, what values are there? I want to print them. Then how you will manage? So we need an suppose unordered list just roughly, and here I want to present all the values which are above 40,000. Then usually categories, this is I will put this array name as sales. Okay, now we have sales. Sales, it is an array. How you will extract only the values which are above 40,000? You will use filter. Filter is a method of JavaScript. What filter expects? It is expecting an expression. That means if value, so return what it is, value is greater than how much? 40,000. If it is value is greater than 40,000, that means this is a filter method which will return all the values which are matching with this condition. Now remember, this is just returning an again array. What filter method will do? It returns an array of numbers. But this time it returns an array of numbers which are matching with this condition. That means what do you think they are presented? They are not presented directly. You will see all are presented. All are presented. That means on this, what we have to do, we have to use a map. So map, and we are using, so here we are using, so what is the condition here? All these we will put here map. What is the map? This is sale, right? And print the sale as a list item. That means here you print the sale as a list item, sale. And you know this needs a key. So key is what? Sale. That means here we are defining, let's say these are the values you are having. That is simply 35,000, 23,000, like this we are using, 56,000, 34,000. All above 40,000 we need, and it has to display them. So it is going to read and display every item there. That means we are doing two works here. We are filtering. Filtering will return a array. On that we are mapping. That's how we present only what we need from the array. We have to use this technique for that. You can use find. Find returns only one. So filter will return all. And without any condition, we want to read all. Then we have to use map or for each and others, right? So this is just another example I will give. So that means here a simple question here is how to query and present elements that match given condition. So that is done by using find and filter methods. So you need to do this. The find and filter methods are used for doing that. So actually syntactically we have a collection and we have filter. So a value and value greater than some reference. That can be any condition on that map, and present a container for every item. So with a key, that's how we generally define. So we just filter and we map. Array manipulations you will see later. That means adding arrays, element into array, removing from array. So editing, updating, deleting, all such things. Here Our concept currently is just to present, how we can present. And that depends completely on how you want to design, right? So, for example, suppose pin means where this is used in means it is not just ordered list or unordered list for presentation, right? Actually, example is data binding dot .jsx. Okay. For example, you see how it can be presented in a more different points, let's say. So we have here a where menu is equal to array. It is having home, so shop, and suppose men fashion like this, and we have some women's fashion like this. Now what I want to do is, so I want to create a toolbar, a navigation bar. In that navigation bar I want this. In the navigation bar I want to create this. That means I want to present this. So then how you do that means how you can create that. For example, generally we have some nav. So this nav is having a class as some nav bar. We are having some nav bar, and we are having some like nav bar expand lg, expand lg. These are bootstrap related nav bar options. So here we are using bg dark. So we are using bg dark. Okay. And in this nav bar, we are using a button. So we are using a text. This is some shopper, right? Or simply like some Amazon, something. And this have a class. This have a class called navbar brand. And this is a class navbar toggler. And here we have a span. So what is the class name? Class name is navbar toggler icon. Am I right? That means I'm designing a simple navbar, and here actually a div, and here class name container fluid, and we are adding this data into this. Now usually you see here, so this is navbar. Now what we are doing here is I given bg dark, so text white, and it is going to display that here. This is navbar brand also, text white. It is going to display this way. This is a dynamic navigation bar actually, right? We are not using any jQuery here. Just we are creating a normal, because Bootstrap navbar have jQuery and all. That means here we are using an unordered list. So this will have a class called navbar navigation. So in the navbar navigation, we need to create, so here menu dot, and we are using map, and map will read every item, and for every item we will create a list item. So key I will give as item, and here the item is presented there. That's what we are configuring. That means you see all those items are there. So actually this list item will use a class called nav item. Nav item, that means it is using a nav item, that is usually the nav item. And actually this nav item will display as a nav link na? That means we have an anchor. Anchor usually have a class name called what? Nav link. Nav link. That means you see these are displayed as links. I will change the background for this. I'll just use background warning. So then you can see those items will come. That means we created a toolbar for those items that are present inside. We can give different functionality also for them. When user clicks home, the home related content will come. Shop related content will come. This is all done by using these methods only. By using array methods we manage. That means creating a menu, creating a nav bar, creating some cards or data. All this is designed by using these approaches. That is what the presentation is, how you are going to present. I just given an example that it can be presented in so many ways, right? That means we are presenting like a toolbar. A toolbar just roughly we designed with these items and configured them. So later you can add more functionalities into it. This is a basic array. Now what else you have in the types? This is only basic array. We have next important object, another important JSON. How to use JSON presentation, how to create an object presentation. That we'll see tomorrow. Right? This is enough for today. You need to try this, right? And in tomorrow's session, we will learn about objects, array of objects, other data types, date, how to present them. Once we know this, this is all one-way binding. Then we will learn about two-way binding, how you collect data from a text box, how you display in the UI like that. That we'll see tomorrow, right? In tomorrow's session, we'll continue. And if anyone don't have the classroom code, this is the classroom code. And in tomorrow's session, we will discuss about the other concepts, how we can manage. And this is the classroom code. Yeah, this is the classroom code. Here we uploaded all the previous videos. If anyone is not having them, you can get it from here. You can join into this classroom. So all the previous session related notes and videos are present here. Two groups are there, one group already full. This is the second group. The new people can join into this group, right? Here we already uploaded this videos of previous, you can check them. Okay, then tomorrow we will continue. We will see other data types, means complex data, tables, cards, how they present.